Arithmetic. Matilda longed for her parents to be good and loving and understanding and honorable and intelligent. The fact that were none of these things was something that she had to put up with. It was not easy to do so. But the new game she had invented for punishing one or both of them each time they were beastly to her made her life a little or less bearable. Being very small and very young, the only power Matilda had over anyone in her family was brain power. For sheer cleverness, she could run things around them. But the fact remained that any 5-year-old girl in any family was always obliged to do as she was told, however insane the orders might be. Thus, she was always forced to eat her evening meal out of the TV dinner tray in front of the dreaded box. She always had to stay alone on weekday afternoons whenever she was told to be quiet, she had to be quiet. Her safety valve, the thing that prevented her from going around the bend, was fun and deceiving and dishing out the splendid punishment and lovely things that they seemed to work, at any rate for short periods. The father in particular became less cocky and unbearable for several days after receiving a dose of Matilda's magic medicine. The parrot in the chimney affair quite definitely cooled both parents down a lot for over a week. They comparatively civil to their small daughter, but alas, they couldn't last. The next flare-up came one evening in the sitting room. Mr. Wormwood had just returned from work. Matilda and her brother were sitting quietly on the sofa, waiting for their mother to bring in the TV dinners on the tray. The television had yet not been switched on. In came Mr. Wormwood in a loud check suit and a yellow tie. The appalling broad orange and green check of the jacket and trousers almost blinded the onlooker. He looked like a low-grade bookmaker dressed up for his daughter's wedding, and was clearly very pleased with himself this evening. He sat down in the armchair and rubbed his hands together and addressed his son in a loud voice. "Well, my boy," he said, "your father had the most successful day. He is a lot richer tonight than he was this morning. He has sold no less than 5 cars, each one a tidy profit. Sawdust in the gearbox, an electric drill on the speedometer cables, a splash of paint here and there, and a few other clever tricks, and the silly people were all falling over themselves to buy." He fished out a bit of paper from his pocket and studied it. "Listen, boy," he said, addressing his son, ignoring Matilda. "Seeing as you're going into the business with me one day, you've got to know how to add up profits and make at the end of each day. Go ahead and get yourself a pencil and a pad, and let's see how clever you are." The son obediently left the room and returned with writing materials. "Write down these figures," the father said, reading it from the bit of paper. "Car number 1 was bought for 278 pounds and sold for 1,425. Got that?" The 10-year-old boy wrote the 2 separate amounts down slowly and carefully. "Car number 2 the father went on, "cost me 118 pounds and sold for 760. Got that?" "Yes, Dad," the son said, "I've got that." "Car number 3 cost me 111 pounds and sold for 999 pounds and 50 pence. "Say that again," the son said. "How much did you sell it for?" 999 pounds and 50 pence, the father said. "And that, by the way, is another of my nifty little tricks to fool the customers. Never ask for a big round figure. Always just go below. Never say the 1,000 pounds. Always say 999.50. It sounds much less, but isn't. Clever, isn't it?" "Very," said the son. "You're brilliant, Dad." "Car number 4 cost 86 pounds, a real wreck that was, and sold for 699 pounds 50. "Not too fast," the son said, writing the numbers down. "Right, I've got that. Car number 5, 637 pounds, and sold for 1,649.50. You got all those figures written down, son?" "Yes, Daddy," the boy said, crouching over the pad and very carefully writing. "Very well," the father said. "Now work out the profit I made on each of the 5 cars, and add up the total. Then you'll be able to tell me how much money your rather brilliant father made altogether today." "That's a lot of sums," the boy said. "Of course it's a lot of sums," the father answered. "But when you're a big businessman like I am, you've got to be hot stuff at arithmetic. I've practically got a computer inside my head. It took me less than 10 minutes to work out the whole thing. You mean you did it in your head, Dad? The son asked. Well, not exactly, the father said. Nobody could do that. But it didn't take me long. When you're finished, uh, tell me what you think my profit was for today. I've got a final total written down here, and I'll tell you if you were right. Matilda said quietly, Dad, you mean exactly 4,303 pounds and 50 pence altogether. Don't butt in, the father said. Your brother and I were busy with high finance. But Dad, be quiet, the father said. Stop guessing and trying to be clever. Look at your answers, Dad, Matilda said gently. If you have done it right, you ought to have 4,303 pounds and 50 pence. Isn't that what you've got, Dad? The father glanced down at the paper in his hands. He seemed to stiffen. He became very quiet. There was a silence, and he said, Say that again. 4,303 pounds 50. There was another silence. The father's face was beginning to go dark. I'm sure it's right, Matilda said. You little cheat, the father said, suddenly shouting, pointing his fingers. You've looked at my bit of paper. You read it off from there, what I've got written. Daddy, I'm on the other side of the room, Matilda said. How could I possibly see it? Don't give me that rubbish, the father shouted. Of course you've looked. You must have looked. No one in the world could give the right answer, just like that, especially a girl. You little cheat, madame. That's what you are, a cheat and a liar. At that point, the mother came in carrying a large tray with the four suppers. This time, it was fish and chips, which Mrs. Wormwood had picked up in the fish and chip shop on her way home from bingo. It seemed that bingo afternoons left her exhausted, both physically and emotionally, that she never had any energy left to cook an evening meal. So if it wasn't TV dinners, it had to be fish and chips. What are you looking so red in the face about, Harry? She said, as she put down the tray on the coffee table. Your daughter's a cheat and a liar, the father said, taking his plate of fish and placing it on his knees. Turn the telly on and let's not have any more talk.